Welcome to Casual Conversations, brought to you by Momentum Ministries, helping you attain, maintain, and regain spiritual momentum. Let's join the conversation with Scott Wade, president of Momentum Ministries.
Welcome to Casual Conversations. I am Scott Wade. I'm glad that you have joined us in this first Tuesday of 2026. I can't believe I'm saying that. It seemed like just a few weeks ago it was July of 25, and now here we are in 2026. And it's good to have Julene Tegerstrand. Did I say that right?
You did, Julene Tegerstrand.
You know, if I've learned as a preacher that if you're reading names or you're saying names from the Old Testament, especially, if you just say it fast and with authority, people think that guy's smart. Isn't that right, Julene Tegerstrand?
Yeah, there you go.
So, well, as we start out the new year, we're going to be talking about, for a few weeks, we're going to be talking about real life solutions. A lot of us make New Year's resolutions, but we want to talk about solutions. And one of those things that we're going to try to solve is the lack of world peace. How about that? 2025 was certainly marked with unrest, whether it was in Ukraine or Palestine or on our college campuses or in the streets of our cities, whatever it was, even in our homes, people are experiencing unrest and a lot of financial stress and other kinds of stress that takes place. But I couldn't think of a better topic, Julene, to start with than the fact that we'd like to start 2026 off as a peaceful year.
Wouldn't that
Sound
be
good to you?
That would be amazing.
Okay. Well, Julene Tegerstrand with Everyday Peacemaking. Welcome to Casual Conversations by Momentum Ministries. See, we got all the taglines in there. We're doing pretty good, aren't we?
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I for the last 3 years, I've been in Nazarene Christian higher education as either a campus minister or a faculty member. So I was one of those faculty members that closed out Eastern Nazarene College. If your listeners are aware of Eastern Nazarene College, I was in the religion and culture program. And I'm also a spiritual director. So with Eastern Nazarene College closing, I'm continuing to do spiritual direction as well as now this.
Unpack that for me a little bit. What's a spiritual director?
Yeah. So a spiritual director is someone who listens with another or a group for what God is up to in the world. So it's kind of a blending of, it's not counseling, it's not chaplaincy, but it's a listening discipline. And a spiritual director is someone who might meet one-on-one with people, and it's through people's stories where we're listening for hints of God's grace. And it's, for me, as someone who's received direction for the last, more than 20 years now, it's been a place where I can be myself. And, in ministry, sometimes where does the minister go to have a place where you're vulnerable and honest and really talking about those like our relationship with God and maybe some of the resistance that we might experience. And so a spiritual director is someone who's outside of the scope of the church in terms of like not at your local church, that you talk to about spiritual things.
Okay, so as a chaplain, as a faculty member, you fulfilled that in various ways.
Yeah.
And you said Eastern Nazarene closed, and it just closed in 2025. Did they finish the school year?
Yeah. So as a faculty member, I completed the year of 2024. My last official, day, if you will, would have been the 31st of December in 2024.
Okay.
And then the school officially closed in May of 25.
And you're married and you live in the Northeast, apparently?
Yeah, we live near Boston, my husband and I, and together my husband and I are beginning a new ministry called Everyday Peacemaking. And we really just are wanting to help everyday people do the really difficult work of transforming conflict. And we can do that in little bits every day. So,
So you have a background in religious studies, biblical studies.
yeah,
What
I
about
have
your
a
husband?
my husband and I both do. So
Okay.
he has a master's in theology, I have a master of divinity, and also we both, well, he almost does, but I have a PhD in leadership studies. And that degree was looking at Christian spirituality and conflict transformation for leaders.
So you're in your role
Yeah.
right now, which I'm assuming was connected to or related to, or you saw the writing in the sky about your professorship.
Yeah.
Um, what led you and Steve to begin Everyday Peacemaking?
Yeah. Both of us have had a real interest in the work of conflict transformation. And I know that's probably that use of those two words is maybe new for your audience, but conflict transformation is a way of understanding conflict as something that's cyclical, or like it has these, it's like it ebbs and flows. And so when we use language of conflict resolution, it assumes that there's something to be solved, right? Like that there's a conflict, and if we kind of come to a compromise, then it will go away. Well, that doesn't tend to be the way that conflict works.
Oh,
That it can like it often has a deeper and a longer timeline to it. And so transformation is language that's been used to talk about this longer process that can be involved in transforming the people, the relationship, the systems, even of conflict, and particularly conflict that can lead to, ultimately violence, right? So conflict transformation is something my husband and I have both been very interested in. He is a trainer in nonviolent communication, which is a way of communicating that helps build connection between people. And then, I mean, a story that I could tell you of like, how did I get into this? I lived in South Korea for 4 years. And during that time, found myself like really, let's see, I was culture shocking. I was dealing with a lot of culture shock, and I was meeting with the spiritual director, someone that I would speak to every month just about my life, my spiritual life, my relationship with God. And I really wanted to get away to a retreat, but I wanted to get away from Korean culture. And so I go to this retreat house that's all Korean women, and they were Catholic sisters. And it ended up being the most Korean experience I had had to that point, where I'm eating fish with chopsticks, and it's all in Korean. But part of why I was struggling at that time in Korea so much was I was teaching English, and all my relationships with Koreans felt like they were about me giving something. And so when I went to this retreat center, the sisters didn't care that I could help them with English. It wasn't about that. It was really them creating space of hospitality for me. And I just felt so welcomed and loved. And in that experience, their hospitality began a process of my own transformation, of reconciling with the Korean culture and the Korean people that were in my own local context. I worked at a Nazarene university at the time.
okay.
And so my last 2 years of my Korean experience were so different. And it's in large part because the sisters, their love for me, their hospitality allowed me to see the people in my own community in new ways. And that began a relationship that became beautiful for me. And like I began to have really connected experiences with Koreans after that. And so I know what it's like to experience a transformation when there's conflict. And I've so wanted to be a part of helping others experience that.
We're gonna come back to that because I have that question on the table, but you said something that fascinated me, and I want you to unpack. By the time we unpack all these layers, we might get back to what we're going to talk about. We don't know, but you said that they gave you a space or created a space for hospitality.
Yes.
Um, what what does that look like? What's it mean?
Yeah. It means that they let me walk into their home with shoes on, and they told me, I mean, like I did things that weren't necessarily what they needed or expected, but the way they were so gracious and the way that they communicated, like kind of what their expectations of me were, like, don't wear your shoes in the house. We have slippers to put on. Or, oh, you don't know how to eat fish with chopsticks? Let me tell you. So like they made room for me to learn their ways. They helped me with Korean. So it was just like they received me as I was, in my English speaking, American self, in their very Korean context. Also, the sister Anna Marie, she was the main sister who spoke English. Her hospitality was making room for me, like including me in their meals together instead of just putting me off by myself, including me in their prayer. They had like 3 times where they met for prayer, and even though it was in Korean, they made sure I knew I was welcome to come.
So, um, yeah, I guess that would space for hospitality means that they didn't try to change you to bring you in,
Yeah,
make you
yeah,
change. You remained yourself. Along the way, you learned and you grew more at peace. I don't know if it's the right word. It's where we're going, right?
yeah, yes.
So, so then you spent some time with these Korean sisters, and were you married at the time?
I was not. No, that was
Okay.
way before. Yeah.
All right. So something led then, as you were married, for you and Steve to have this on your heart together
Yeah.
to do this ministry, peacemaking. What what was the dynamic there?
Yeah. Well, so often peacemaking is seen as something we go over there to do, kind of like we think of missions, like we go overseas to do missions, we go overseas to do peace work. And as the United States has just increasingly seemed to have been in this like polarizing kind of time of conflict, everyday peacemaking is our response to a society that's living in a lot of challenge. And the same polarization that we may see on the national landscape and in our political landscape is a reflection of what's happening in my family, in my church, and I think in a lot of our families and churches. And so we wanted to respond to that with knowing that God has given us some expertise and skills that may be able to help people in the midst of their conflicts and their communities. And so how we have wanted to be able to help people develop the qualities of connection that can stay with each other and engage despite the incredible differences that are really, like, those differences that we all have are really important to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have them. And so, how can we appreciate each other despite those differences? And so, we've wanted to use our skills to help that happen.
So, and that's hugely needed. You be at peace with yourself, peace with your
Yes.
family, peace
Yes.
with the faith community, peace with um, so that's good. I thought of something there. Jesus told us that I can think of off the top of my head to make two different things. Told us to make disciples, and I've got this little book that I've written called the Disciples Compass, and I've got 6 marks of a disciple. All
Oh,
right, so
wow.
that tells you what when you're making a disciple, what are the benchmarks or what are the things that you're trying to make here? All right, if you're making peace, what are the marks of peace and not just a peacemaker, but what does it mean to be at peace?
Well, let me give you a framework for how to think about peace.
Okay.
In the peace kind of studies arena, they talk about negative peace and positive peace.
Hmm.
Negative peace is peace when there's no physical violence, when there's an absence of physical violence. And that's what we often think of when we're like, oh, if there's peace, right? There's no guns and shooting or, you know. But positive peace, I'll do that again. Like positive peace is about right relationship. It's about justice and wholeness and shalom. Like we talk about shalom, right? In our Christian world, this idea of wholeness and right relationship. And so when I think about the word of peace, it is this participation of the kingdom of God. I mean, it is so much like living out God's best for us in terms of how we relate to each other, how we care for the poor, this is the gospel. So I don't know if you want me to say anything more
Yeah,
about
let me ask
yeah.
you a
Yeah.
question there. And well, I'll just harken back to something that happened in the late fall at one of our Nazarene universities. A group of students was trying to form Turning Point USA chapter.
Mm-hmm.
The student government, it's not the student government, but it was prevented from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe by the time this comes out, it will already have been taken care of. But you have two very opposite ways of looking at things, whether it's with conservative and liberal, or whether
Yeah.
it's with immigration, whether it's social justice. Um, so we don't have to agree,
Right.
do we, to be at peace?
No, we do not have to agree. In fact, in the world of this peacemaking, we talk about having a strong back and a soft front.
Oh,
So
I like that.
yeah.
I
So it
think I'll
means
name the podcast.
yeah, strong back and a soft front. So we can stand strong in our core beliefs, and those can be even beliefs in political and social issues. Um, and alongside of that, our softness is, do we have a capacity to hear another and receive another's experience and story, even if that leads them to, have different beliefs? And can we appreciate something? Can we appreciate them, even if we're having a hard time appreciating like the position that they're taking? And so to be someone that has a soft front, it takes a set of skills that we need to develop that are so important for us in the church.
When did it happen in culture that to receive somebody or to have a dialogue with somebody meant that you were agreeing with them? I mean, well, basically, people want to cast others into camps, and if you agree with this person, then I disagree with you, and we can't. Or if you hear this person, really, then I
Yeah.
disagree with you. You can't be a part of my circle.
Yeah.
Is that new?
I
Is it,
think I think it goes all the way back to the Enlightenment, where we like so much about like saying the right thing, believing the right thing. I mean, even in our Christian circles, we talk about you need to pray this exact prayer. And if we're going to argue on the words, then that's what the challenge is. But the idea of, I'm going to give myself to God, like maybe we won't. It's like we so argue around the specifics sometimes. And we don't, when we do that, we fail to miss maybe the ways that we actually are more similar than we realize. But yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Hi, I'm Amy. Here at Momentum Ministries, we believe in the power of prayer. As we share the gospel through books, podcasts, and speaking engagements, we need you to lift us up. Would you take a moment to pray for us today? Pray for wisdom, open doors, and lives changed by the message of Christ. And if you'd like to partner with us in other ways, visit momentumministries.org. Thank you for being part of this journey, because together we can attain, maintain, and regain spiritual momentum.
all right, let's kind of to shift gears
Okay.
here a little bit. When you look at a local church,
Yeah.
what are some opportunities for improving I don't know if the level of peace would be the right way to say that, but if Jesus
Yeah.
wants us to make peace, we ought to be making it in the church, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's one main skill that I think we really need to cultivate, and I think we can do it in several ways, and that is the skill of listening.
Hmm.
Um, so uh, so much of what we do in the church is a lot about output, or it's a lot of words. So even the way that we teach prayer, we teach people to write down things, to pray about, and our prayer is often, we use a lot of words, and we don't talk as much about the listening component of prayer. And I think we could do ourselves a favor to learn how to listen and to not always be using words like, like listen instead of speak, right? So we can do that in our spiritual practices. We can also think about, how are we listening in our worship service? Is there any space, or do we fill it up with a lot of great songs and sermons? But where is the space that we take in our worship together to listen? So I think there are some ways that we can learn to listen. But listening, when I say listening, I mean a couple of things. When I am hearing someone speak to me in a way where there's a difference of opinion, if I just react to them, and tell them what I think that's different than what just came at me, that's not listening, right? My reaction to them is keeping me at the center of the conversation. But to listen in an active way, you've probably heard of active listening. We can active listen in two ways. One is to reflect back what we heard by using the words that came at us. And if we reflect back what we heard, it's keeping the other person in the center of the conversation. And I guarantee that if someone shares something with me and I reflect back to them what I heard, they're probably going to keep in the conversation, and they're probably going to feel connected to me.
When you say reflect back,
Yeah.
you're not just echoing. You're processing and reflecting how it comes through
Yeah.
your filter.
It can be, when I say reflect back, there's two ways. One is to actually use the words that someone else uses. And while that might feel like kind of strange to do, what it does is it recognizes that our words carry a lot of baggage with them. And I might use someone's word, like, I don't know, like abortion. If I use that word, I might mean something, or I might have some assumptions of what that means. And so if I instead of using that word, I use something else, the other person, like, I may not be using it in the way that someone else means it. So
Let me ask you,
yeah,
so
go
you're
ahead.
saying the word abortion
Yeah.
has some assumptions with it.
Yeah,
Did I just reflect back?
you did. You
Okay,
did.
all right.
You did a good, and we say you stayed in the footprint. So I had a footprint, and you used the footprint, the language that
Okay.
was in my footprint.
So,
Yeah.
so you don't have to have a super photographic memory, but you
No.
got to listen in order
Yeah. And
to
it's
catch the
okay.
words and the meaning and say,
Yep.
well, let me make sure I understand what you're saying here.
Yes. It's
Okay.
totally okay to also just summarize what you hear. And it's often very important to say, to check in with the person. Is that what you meant? So even if you can't remember what they said, that's okay. Summarize what you heard and check in and say, does that feel right to you? So it
How
really
can
is.
I'm going to give you a tough one
Yep.
because especially with justice being kind of high on your
Yep.
values list.
Yep.
How do we improve peacemaking and listening in a topic inside the church
Yeah.
as divisive? We could even say abortion, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go one that's probably more prevalent within congregation,
Yeah.
within denominations, not just
Mhm.
one to the other.
Yeah.
But the whole concept of immigration
Yes.
and what does Christ say? What does America say? And
Yeah.
how do we use peacemaking
Yeah.
that we can see? We're not going to agree.
Right.
We don't necessarily have the same. I was at an immigration forum one time that it was like, I don't belong here because
Mm.
everybody was speaking a different language than
Yeah.
what my heart was feeling.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's prevalent in local churches.
Yeah.
I'm an evangelist. I've had to be careful sometimes that I don't want to stir the pot.
Yeah.
I want to speak prophetically, but
Yep.
so how do we do that in the church? That's an area that people carrying
Yeah.
in the southeast. There's concealed carry laws, probably a little more. I
Yep.
mean, what do we do in the church with those differences?
We need to ask people about their stories and not just about their
Oh,
positions.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, because if we're talking about immigration and say if we have different positions, if I understand how you came to have your position, I'm going to have a whole lot more empathy. And I might even find my own story in your story and feel a connection. And I think what we're wanting is to create a sense of connectedness with each other. And with that sense of connection, then we can probably have a more civil conversation about the position. But before, if I'm not able to see you as a human being and that has a complexity to your story, it's going to be hard for me to hear a different opinion.
What about okay, I need to see you as a person.
Yep.
What about painting in broad strokes? I see so much of what's supposedly conversation or communication that simply is uh, setting up boundaries or
Yeah.
establishing differences.
Yeah. So are you saying with broad strokes that we kind of just create a stereotype for?
Jesus said to receive the stranger. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The walls of heaven are 144 miles high. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, okay, there's some
Yeah.
there's some room for some things there.
Yeah.
Too many people will quote one or the other, and then if you're not don't see it exactly as I do, then I just sweep you out with a broad brush.
Yeah.
Maybe not painting now. I changed the imagery.
Yeah. And again, I think it gets to if we're going to talk at the level of debating an issue without understanding where people are coming from and how they got to that, I think we're just going to have a fight, you know?
Hold on,
And
fight.
a skill also that we teach in Everyday Peacemaking and in a course we teach called Pathways to Peace is uh, seeing the difference between an observation and evaluation. Now,
Oh, yeah.
why we do that? Uh, if I'm making a sweeping comment about those people who, whatever, who love social justice and, I don't know, whether it's a positive or negative statement about them, I'm probably couching that in a lot of judgment and evaluation,
Yes.
right? But if
Mhm.
I say something like, the people who want the government to give $2 billion for whatever SNAP benefits or whatever it is, like that actually, if you give me the specifics of the what, why, when, how, then we can talk about those specifics more than well, if I give you the specifics of the what, when, why, and how, and it's not couched in the judgment language, I'm likely to be more open to talk about it. But when I have a judgment coming at me, I'm more likely to close down or to fight, right? To get into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. So if we can use observation kinds of language when we're talking to each other about issues, it will help us to not close down and give us more possibility of actually talking to each other. Does that
So
make sense?
peacemakers observe more than not more than peacemakers observe before they evaluate. Does that?
Yeah, yeah. It's because I'm not saying evaluation is bad, but what happens is we mix our observations and our evaluations, and that creates the challenge.
Julene, I'm afraid that I have taken you way afield. I've got this long list here.
Yep.
I think we covered about four questions on
Yep.
here,
Yep.
but we probably do need to begin tying this up.
Sure.
Um, Tell us about what you actually do
Yeah.
in your ministry and your work, and
Yeah.
what that looks like for a peacemaking event
Yeah.
or weekend or
Right.
encounter.
Yeah, so our first offering, the offering that my husband and I are offering first is called Pathways to Peace. And basically, we're taking people through a series of skills that are similar to what I described earlier about observation and evaluation. So we take people through a set of skills that come from what's called nonviolent communication. And we help them in their communication skills, which will then help them in their relational capacity.
Hmm.
And it's not just we teach them skills that will help them in their capacity to relate and to engage with people that have different opinions. But those very skills can help us in our relationship with God and our relationship with self. Because so much of our relationship with self and God and others are things that happen internally. So if we can help people with that conversation, we can help people gain the inner and outer resources for relationships that can be on the way towards peace and being peaceable, right?
All right, so you've got Pathways to Peace,
Yep.
and that's
Yeah.
gonna teach
Yeah.
them.
And then I'm also offering spiritual direction as, like kind of like a coach would. And I especially am interested in working with leaders who are needing to or wanting to grow deeper in their leadership capacity, as well
One on one or group or
one-on-one right now. And yeah, there will probably in time there will be other offerings with that, but one-on-one with people who want to improve their leadership and their conflict transformation skills. Because I really think that our discipleship is tied to our capacity to engage with one another in conflict.
because we just aren't the same, aren't we?
No. Yeah.
All right, one more question that I have for you. First Tuesday of 2026.
Yep.
I'm deciding in my mind right now that I want to be at peace and I want to be a peacemaker.
Yep.
Three or four sentences. What should I do?
You should listen to yourself, listen to God, and listen to others more this year than you did last. Like make space for hearing what other people are saying and reflecting back what you hear them saying. Um, Give yourself some silence to actually listen for what God might have for you rather than filling it with words and noise.
Okay. I like it. We could do it. See, I make a podcast, and so that's a lot of words and noise.
Yeah, yeah, but
I'm in the words and noise business.
me too,
But
as a teacher.
I like that a lot that we're going to take time. Okay, I don't always have to say something. I observe conversations, and it's almost as if when they hit the ball across the net, the ball changes. It's black over here when this person that sees black hits it, and then when it gets over here and they hit it back, it's white because this person sees white. And so they're
Yeah,
talking about two different things.
yeah,
They might take turns, but they're not
yeah.
listening to each other.
And here's something else, and this could be like you can add this wherever you want, but I think our congregations need to think about how are we doing community life with each other? Are we playing together? Are we eating together?
Mhm.
Are we like do we have like common service opportunities that we're doing each other so that we can see each other beyond our positions that we take? Like we have a common, we're serving a family in our neighborhood, and so what we have in common is not just or we're not just looking at each other as they have this other position, but oh, actually we are working together to serve this family in our neighborhood. And so that helps us humanize each other.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a prayer when we come back from the prayer. I'm gonna give you an offer to if there's anything that we've okay, and
Yeah,
then
sounds good.
I
Sounds
want you to
good.
take that opportunity. Father in heaven, thank you that you have not only called us, but you enable us to be peacemakers by your Holy Spirit, the Spirit of peace, the Prince of Peace who dwells within us. Help us, Lord, to model our lives after Jesus and to be peacemakers this year. Thank you for Julene and Steve. Thank you for Everyday Peace. And I pray that their ministry would be blessed of God and used of you to bring about peace in places where there's so much conflict. And may it be positive peace, Lord, and not just negative peace or the absence of strife. And so just help us to move through this year as makers of peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, Julene, what you got? Anything before we go?
Yeah, I would say invite your listeners to think about what God did in relationship to Adam and Eve in the garden before he threw them out. God,
I like how you
God,
couch that.
yeah, God spoke to the people and he provided clothing, right? So, like, God, even in the midst of our turning away to God, God is staying in relationship with us. So, how might we stay in relationship with each other despite our incredible differences that sometimes we see each other as being sinful because of the positions we take? But God stayed with us, and I think we can stay with each other.
Amen. All right. Stick with each other. I like that. Strong back and a soft front.
Yeah, that's right. Very
All
cool.
right. Thank you so much, Julene, for
Yeah,
coming
you're
on Casual
welcome. Yeah,
Conversation.
and maybe email me when you get this up. I'll love to.
Okay.
I'll put it on my Substack.
All right. And
So,
thank you for our listeners for making Casual Conversations a part of your day and a part of your new year. God bless you.
awesome.
Thanks for listening in on Casual Conversations by Momentum Ministries. Check out our website at momentumministries.org, where you will find books and other resources to help you attain, maintain, and regain spiritual momentum. God bless you and have a great day.